So hey guys and welcome back to another video of your IC Companion. I am your host Taman Ahmed Azad, and in this video I'm gonna share with you some of the paper presentation tips that I personally think are going to be very beneficial for you all. So without any further ado, let us start with the video. So the first tip that I would like to give you all is that many people actually do this mistake that suppose they are given a question, they are writing an answer to a question. Suppose 1a, they have written the content in 2 lines, and what they tend to do is that they start the next answer from the next line only, and this is a very big rookie mistake that they all do. You shouldn't actually do that because your paper looks a lot clumsy. So what you should do is that whenever you are attending another question, you should give at least 2 lines of gap. 3 lines of gap will be well and good, but minimum you should give at least 2 lines of gap. And in terms of broad question, if you ask me, I think you should give around 3 to 4 lines of gap between each question. So this is the first tip that you should all keep in mind. So the second tip that I would like to give you all is that whenever you are writing chemical equations or formulas in maths or diagrams in biology or any other subjects as such, what you should do is that you can box out the thing that you have written, the diagram maybe or the chemical equation, so that it is actually distinguishable from the other part of your answer, and it shows the teacher, yeah, you have put in a bit of more extra effort into presenting your copy, and overall it looks very neat. So yeah, this is a good thing for you to practice, and I think you should use this from your next exams. So yeah, let us move on to the tip number 3. So this tip is more of a guideline than actually a tip. It's clearly written in the ICC rule book that you shouldn't be actually using any other colored pen other than blue and black. So yeah, you should always keep this in mind. And many students will ask me actually, what should we do in a terms of conventional science whenever we asked conventional science in geography? It's very simple answer. What you can do is that whenever you are actually attending this conventional science question, you can easily draw the conventional sign, and beside that in brackets you can obviously write the color that is associated with it. It's as simple as that. And as a student myself, I don't personally think that you need any other type of colored pen to actually prove an impression. Black and blue is more than enough. So yeah, you should always keep this in mind, and let us move on to the tip number 4. Okay, the tip 4 that I would like to give you all is that you should always attend a whole new question on a fresh page. And why I am saying this, because many a times you will come in this situation where you have just 1/4 of the page left and you have to write a very big broad answer. So in that case, what you can do is that you can just shift to the next page and you can start your answer from there. And I am not saying now to just write a one line answer in a new page. No, don't do that. Use your common sense. Whenever you are in situation where you have to write a very big broad answer, but the uh, adjustment can't be done in a page, in a single page, you can obviously shift to a new page, and you can start your answer from that page. And also it is very easy for the teacher to check your answer, because the teacher knows, yeah, this page is just for this answer, and this guy has, or this girl has written her answer or his answer in the next page. So the teacher can obviously refer to the next page to check your answer. So, and it's also easy for the examiner to check your copy. So yeah, let us move on to the tip number 5. Okay, so the fifth tip that I would like to give you all is that in subjects like history and geography, whenever you ask a broad question, like I'm giving an example right now. Suppose you have been asked a question about to give the causes of the revolt of 1857, and the marks you have been allotted is 4 marks. So what you can do is that you can obviously write the answers in point. And actually many people have this misunderstanding or a misconception, I would say. They have this misconception that in history we're supposed to write very lengthy answer, and I personally think it's definitely not the case. Suppose you have been allotted 4 marks only, and personally what I did is I wrote only 4 points, and in some cases I wrote fifth point, just in case if one of the points were wrong, I could have gotten extra mark in that fifth point also. So yeah, this thing you should always keep in mind whenever you are asked to give reasons or causes or any type of question in history which needs, which can be done in point wise, which can be answered in point wise. Actually, you can actually use point system or bullet point system to actually write your answers. Suppose you have been allotted 4 marks, then you can always write 4 points for the answer. If you're not sure about the points, then you can obviously add extra points, but yeah, you should always write according to the marks that you have been allotted. You should not write more or you should not write less. So this is the thing that you should keep in mind. And let us move on to the next tip. So the next tip that I would like to give you all, whenever you are writing an answer in any subject, you should always underline or highlight the key words or phrases. In subject like English, it's a must, I guess, because the teacher doesn't have the time or the teacher doesn't want to hunt through your answers to look out for the important parts or the keywords. So what you can do, you can obviously make it easy for them. So what you can do is always you can underline or highlight the keywords or phrases, and this thing what it does is that obviously it creates an impression that yeah, you actually know about the keywords and the important points in that answer. Obviously it makes the process easier for the teacher, so the teacher might actually award you more marks. Also, one thing happens, I personally experienced this, whenever you are highlighting or underlining some part of an answer, the teacher might actually overlook the other part of the answer, because just because of the fact that you have just not underlined it or just you have just not highlighted it, your teacher actually might just overlook the mistakes you have done in the other parts. So yeah, this is a good thing to do, and you should start doing this practice from your next exams only. And yeah, I think this one, personally I think this will be very fruitful for you all. And if you actually use this in your benefit, you can actually get more marks. I would say you can actually get 5 to 6 mark more overall in all subjects. So yeah, you should always use this tip. So let us move on to the next tip. Okay, so the next tip that I would like to give you all is that I have actually seen many of the students, even my friends, do this mistake. What they do is that they tend to stuff too many words in a single line, even to that extent where they stuff 13 to 14 words in a single line. I just don't understand how they are able to do it, but you shouldn't actually do this mistake. You minimum to minimum or maximum you can put 7 to 8 words per line. And whenever you try to actually stuff too many words in a single line, what it does is that it makes your answer way clumsy than you would actually see when you are trying to add only 7 to 8 words per line. And also you should actually give little bit of spacing between two words, so that yeah, it looks neat and the words that you have written is easily visible to the teacher's eye. So yeah, this is a very important thing that you should keep in mind. You should not actually put too much words in a single line, and if you have a small handwriting, try to make it a little bigger by obviously practicing a bit, and keep this in mind. This will obviously be handy in your future terms. So yeah, let us move on to the tip number 8. So the tip number 8 would be to always use a pencil to draw diagrams and also use it for your map pointing. And why am I recommending this to you is that whenever you use a pen to draw something, suppose you did a mistake, so it will be very hard for you to actually erase it and make a new drawing. So obviously when you use a pencil, you can easily rub it off with the eraser and you can start from scratch again. And for map pointing also, I will recommend you to use a pencil. And many schools actually have this, or many teacher actually would say you to use the pen. But what you can do is that obviously you can uh, build the skeleton of the map from pencil only, and after you are pretty much confident about your map pointing, you can overwrite the pencil marks with a pen, and it will it will look like as you have written it with pen. So yeah, this is also a tip that is very important, and you should keep this in mind from your future time. Okay, so let us move on to the tip number 9. And the ninth tip that I would like to give you all is that try to avoid gel pens, and if you have this tendency to write with your hand rested on the paper, then it's a big no no for you. Please don't use gel pens. And I was earlier a very big fond of gel pens. I used to always write with gel pens, but in my class ninth exam, a incident happened that I wrote a essay with a gel pen, and by mistake my hand fell on the essay, and the whole of the page got messy, and I had to rewrite the essay from scratch. So what you can do is that obviously you can start practicing from ball pens or fountain pens. And gel pen, I think you should try to avoid them. And if you are fine with gel pens, you can actually handle gel pens, and you don't smudge the markings of the gel pen, then yeah, it's good for you. You can always use gel pens. But for a beginner like me, or for a person who is not well versed with gel pens, you can actually avoid gel pens and try to practice with a ball pen or any type of other pen. So yeah, let us move on to the final and the last tip, that is tip number 10. So the last and final tip that I would like to give you all is that in your ICC paper, whenever you actually get or you see an actual ICC paper, you will see that on the right hand also you will find a margin, and on the left hand also you will find a margin. On the left hand, you can obviously write the question number. Suppose I, I am willing to write the answer to question number 3A. So I can obviously write 3A, and then I can start the answer from next to the margin. And for the right hand side, ICC suggests that you shouldn't actually write any type of content in that right margin, because whenever your copy gets stapled, that part of the paper might not be visible to examiner, and the examiner might not catch up with the content that you have written in that part. So it's a safe way to actually don't write beyond that margin. Try to keep away from the margin, a bit away from the margin, and try to end your sentence or your line in that margin only. And you should always write, and you should always give proper numbering to your answers, because if you don't give proper numbering now, you might actually lose marks. Even if you have written actual correct answer and you have given a wrong numbering to an answer, you might actually lose marks, because you have the teacher might think that you have attended another set of question, and the teacher might not actually give you marks. So yeah, this is also a tip that you should keep in mind. And finally, we come to the end of the video, and obviously thanks for watching the video. And if you haven't actually checked out our Instagram, they can obviously go and check out our Instagram at your IC companion, and the rest of the social media links will be in the description below, so you can obviously go and check our social media links. And also I would like to recommend you all to go and join us on our Discord server, because we have a lot of fun there, and we have a lot of IC students, and they share their valuable resources and materials, and also they get to interact with other students. So yeah, if you're willing to actually focus more on your studies and better yourself in your academics, you can also join our Discord server and interact with other students there. So yeah, thanks for watching the video, and we will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care, and study hard.